Hello and welcome, as today is the 10th day of April 2018, crypto day. Every day is such. My name is Derek. Everything within your own risk, own reward for any investment choices you happen to make. We'll go through a few codes, but I first want to go over the new layout on the Bittrex trading platform. And there's some improvements, not many, and there are some problems with the new layout. The indicators for their charts now save. So before, when I wanted to put things like an 18 average in, every single time I loaded a new page, it would just not come back, and I could never figure out how to save them. I don't think there ever was a way. But those indicators will now stay within that chart. There's red and green colors, and I mean such when they show percentage gains, or they signify a sell with a red color, a buy with a green color. I've showed before, like my last few trades, and it's a little difficult to read. I'll show you my last few red coin trades, and it's much easier to read. So it's definitely a improvement within such. But now some of the problems. This isn't really a big deal, but it was pretty cool to see the price of the Bitcoin on the Bittrex site. I can easily see it on my wallets for the most part when I look at the TUSD and see how its balance is, meaning if it's up or down, I know what Bitcoin is doing, but it's no longer on the page. The scroll speed is too fast and the slider set is reversed. So the scroll speed on the charts, when you try to move to less or more candles, it's just so fast and a little shaky as well. And the slider in reverse, when you use your mouse on the up and down movement to add or remove time frames, it's like hot on cold and a cold on hot faucet. It's your opposite of how most other platforms that use that feature do it. There's no time frames added between the 1 hour and the daily time frame. They have like the 1 minute, the 5 minute, the 15, the 30, the hour, then the daily, the 3-day, the week. And when you go from the hourly to the daily, there's 24 time interval differences from the 60 minutes. So it would be nice on those charts to see like maybe even like a 6 hour or 8 hour, maybe a 4 or a 3 hour and an 8 hour would be good. But something in that nature that would be good when you want to see more data, or you want to see it more longer term from the hour. And all you can do is go the day. Sometimes a 4, 6, 8, 10-ish hour chart are goods to use. There's less bid and ask viewed on page 1. I think you only see like 10. There used to be more. I think it was like 15 or something higher before. When orders fills, I've only had this happen once so far. I think it'll pop up on the screen if you happen to be watching. You've just bought or sold, blah, blah, blah. And normally when the green icon would pop up on the screen, you could click on it and it would open up that code in a new tab. Well, I tried doing that today and it didn't work. It didn't open in a new tab. It's good to see when notifications come in, and I wish there was other ways where they can be shown via a taskbar, or some other way. But anyway, that's how that one's set up. The balance section is in an odd spot, and it's hard to read and place the max bets when you're on a page. And this is a big problem, I think, because before, when you were looking and making orders, you could see stuff like there was bid and ask. You can't choose those numbers anymore. Or the last price, and you could click on maximum really easily to when you're making your plays. Now it's just a little difficult to do. The order book trade history takes 2 to 4 seconds to load. So when I go and click on, say, my orders for a particular code when I'm on it, say I'm on Litecoin and I want to view my orders, and I click on it, it could take like, I've even seen 6-7 seconds earlier today as well. And the big one, this is why I put this in cap locks, the balance and the orders do not update. Which means, say I'm on the website and I happen to say I put a sell order in. I got 1,000 of a particular unit and I sell 150. It doesn't automatically reduce it down to 850. It'll keep it at 1,000. Same thing if I'm going to buy over many Bitcoins, it's not going to change. Also, let's just put it this way, or think of it this way. If, say I want to put an order in for something, say I'm trying to put a buy order in, cheap price, it's the code with like a bid-ask ratio of like 50 or like 500 and 540. You don't want to buy it for 540. So maybe put a 501 in there. And then someone puts a big order in at 502. So normally I would just cancel my buy order and then put a new one in. Now, for me to do such, I would have to refresh the page. Then I would have to click on the order book button, wait multiple seconds for it to load, then cancel the order. Then I can go ahead and place a new one in. So it's a major nuisance that whenever any kind of change happens to your balance because of any type of transaction while you're on the page, that those variables, those numbers, do not change. Now let's go over to Redcoin, and I'm going to show you my last few trades, which will be easier to go through. In fact, all my trades since I've gotten back into it. And we're going to go back to March 24th when I got in. And on this, I bought at 59 Satoshi, buying it for 25,002. Well, it's 2 transfer fee to get it out because I was going to originally trade this via that against Litecoin. Change of plans. And then they were sent back. And on the 28th of March, I decided that the stake that I have was not high enough. I wanted to play at a particular number, and I needed about 7,475 to do so. And then as we move on, a few days later, April the 1st, the price goes down to 53. So I end up buying 2,640 of them, more of them. And all these numbers are specifically designed based on the gains or based on the portfolio number to keep my portfolio always at the same level. So selling at 57 on April the 2nd at 1:46 a.m. and then selling the next day at 1800 hours or 6 p.m. at 61. Then nothing happening for 8 days. Wasn't able to buy it back. My buy order did not fill, obviously. Selling at 66 at 1900 hours. And then at 2 hours later, at less than, the price goes up to 76. 10 points on 66. That's a pretty good gain. That's well over 10%. And then I'm thinking at this point, after I sell, I got to take a bit. These numbers got to go higher. Normally, after a sale of 76, I'm not going to want to go for over 20%. I'm looking for smaller gains. I want to get as many trades in as possible, but the markets are going up really fast. I got to increase my volatility as well. And therefore, after making a trade, just a quick period after this is 2100 hours. It took 33 minutes to go from 76 to 91. And this is the actual web page itself. Just a little bit of the layout. This part in here on the left-hand side, it's whatever. But let's go back to the charts. And within these moves that they have, they're just nothing short of phenomenal when you consider before the market having a move from like, well, just even here going from like 5 Satoshi up to 130 and change and then falling back to 9. And then after falling back to 9, it makes a higher high. I mean, this is crazy volatility that these markets have. It really, truly is. And when you look at this, the intraday movements on just a few periods. I only want to look at a few candles just so I can look at the data. On Christmas Eve, A low of 67, a high of 196, closing at 111. Then the next day, it goes up to 170. So after potentially selling at these higher levels, you know for sure that it came down to at least, again, 100, and then back up to 170, back down again. And even on the smaller day, like, say, December the 29th, a low of 67, a high of 83, that's a differential in basis points of 16 points. That's about 25% just on that day alone. But the day before the big green candle, the difference was 20 and 14, 6. That was decent volatility. I think this is a case of the logarithmic charts not working. But 9 and 10, this is a price where it just stayed within a couple, just stayed at the two numbers. You either bought at 10 or you sold at 9 that day on December 13th. But it's tremendous volatility. And then you have the market going down. February, just a small day here, a low of 75, a high of 77. It's not even really moving. But even within some of the days where it does, like February the 2nd, a low of 67, high of 84, a differential of 17 points. So 17 divided by 67, you're looking at about 23-ish or so percent. And then, of course, we see again the major volatility just in one day here on February the 22nd, a low of 62, a high of 109, a difference of 47 points. And then each one of these days, there's so many opportunities to pick away, I believe, at so many 10, 20, 30% gains that are available within the market. And for me, when I look at the way that I buy and sell, if the market just can chop around back and forth, I'll pretty much play at the same numbers, buy at 50, sell it, say 58, buy at 50, sell at 58. You know, keep doing that. And if two buy or sell orders come in a row, so be it, because that's not uncommon. But when several buy or when several sell orders especially come into play, then I have to ask myself, where do I want to buy back at? I took a huge price gap differential from 76 to 91, so I want to buy below 76. I don't mind buying above 66. So most likely I wouldn't look to buy until around 70. And I've already put my buy order in. I can't remember exactly where I put it in. I should actually take a look at the numbers if I can calculate Fibonacci instead. Let's take a look at that now. And with the price at 80, it's still barely above my second last sell order. Let's take a look at this, say, on a 1 hour time frame, because this thing has just been soaring up. And when you see this, okay, early on, yada, yada, yada. You only care about the last few periods. So even a 15 minute's not going to be... this has all been going on very much in the near term. Let's switch it to 5 even. So in a spot like this... I really don't think I need to calculate. Where do I calculate the low from? Do I go with the 58 lows, 57? It's not loading the data up. There we go. Then that's just grinding its way up, 56. Okay, let's go 56. And 77 as well as 68 are translating to be the key numbers. So 77, that's pretty much, was this low 78? Yeah. So it's pretty much had to pierce a little bit above it. So my next buy order, I'm probably going to just make sure that it's in at 68. I'm going to do that now. And I'll show you how long it takes to load. 1 Mississippi. Okay, it didn't take long. 70. 70, 70, 70. You know what? I'll let it ride. Now, another one that's doing good, also very similar to Redcoin in that I haven't really been trading it much at all lately, and it's lower priced, is Dagi. Just starting to come out, making some moves, but 15-minute time frame, it's gotten above up to the 53 handle, now pulled back to 48. Oh no, excuse 48. I got 4, yeah, 51's a line that I've got drawn in here. Let's switch us up to the daily time frame. So it's resisting a interesting key level of support. This is basically looks like the 38.2% down move, this being a 61.8%. But regardless of the fact, it means that when you're not doing anything in here, because for days and days and days the price traded like in a range of like 3 cents or 8% during this entire going sideways move. So unless you were able to always pick away at like buy at 38, maybe 39 and sell at 41, there really wasn't much you could do. But when markets go down, this is spots where I'm like, okay, it's time to be buyers when it's going down. But what it has meant that all the buys that have been made from like 44, 45, depending on your volatility that you're at, have been paid off. Because if you were buying on the way down at 53, we are still waiting for the price action to go up over 60 or wherever you might have a particular sell order, and you could be playing for 30 or 40% moves depending on, of course, how one would be playing. Let's move on next with another code, Nexus, NXS. We're looking at the daily chart. And I have this line drawn in. I have no idea when I put this in, how I calculated this number. However, it's an interesting spot given that it was support on March the 4th. It was support on March the 5th. It had a decent run, going from the 234 handle up to 391. That's about, and I'm going to say this again, this is a modest, about 70% gain. I said like a modest 80 or 90% earlier. I had a nice comment on that. But modest means good. It's worthwhile, but it, quite frankly, is small. And small is only that unless you have something to compare it to. And having moves that go with price action from the 200 handle to like the 940 handle, that's a much bigger move. And really the same amount of time as these ones in here. And therefore, after supporting it for a couple of times, has this modest gain, comes back to it, but now it's barely able to rally much at all, only going from like 23,000 up to like 30,000. So yeah, here's a spit in your face, a little over 20% gain. That's all you can get. And that's if you got it. Because you're going to buy it here and be like, okay, this thing's going up to 32 or more. No, it didn't go up to 32. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Several days between the March the 18th through March the 22nd. In that time frame, just staying within this 18 hour, or not 18 average, staying, well, that too, but staying within this line and then having a break below, resisting it on March the 25th. But it never broke below down this level. It resisted again on April the 1st. Came back, it held the 18 average. 18 average is now flat. And here it was hugging the 18 average of lows. That's a bearish situation. But this changed it. And this is what I love about these markets, because I don't know what the next move is going to be, but I'm going to be ready that if the market goes up, I'm going to sell. If it goes down, I'm going to buy. It's just basically how it goes. I can see now for probability, it was a bearish setup in March 31st, but after it resists it on April the 9th, comes back, and now this is the third day in which it is hugging this 18 average of highs. It's now starting to rise, basically mainly because of this great gain on the 9th, But if it continues making higher highs, then the 18 average will continue to rise. And the 18 average of lows is a no-brainer. When you have 3 days where price does this, it's going to have a nice increase on the next day's session, basically. So this thing looks ready to get going for a possible gain in the near term. Let's go turbo on some others. ARC, it's boring. It's not doing anything. It's just staying within the 18. It's neutral. Although if any type of price action comes up here, then I'll sell. However, price action did have this green up move to the 18 average. And if this price can basically hold and stay above 31.5-ish area, then this thing could be turning into a nice setup. Let's move on next to SNT, which is the status network token. And within this key number at 1621, price action comes up to it on April the 3rd. Okay, so it's been about a week or so correcting within this 18 average. It's really no indication other than it's still neutral within this move. But if you see price action starting to move higher, you're seeing it rising and holding and staying above these levels above 14, then it's ready to get going. There's been some key support at about 1273 and then again at about 1222. If those things give in, then we'd be looking at this rally on the 3rd to be a failed move. And I would be expecting it to even at least pierce below 1,000, probably even hit the key Fibonacci point of 829. So it's either breaking out above this, you could maybe test towards the 2455 level. And if this move fails, 829 is where support I'd be looking for. Now XRP has been boring. Bitcoin Cash has been too, because I haven't traded that in a coon's age as well. But yeah, it's just volatility. Yesterday's session, a low of 70.95, a high of 72.10. Difference in price, 115. The stock markets do more than that with particular stocks. That's nothing for like the big market cap stocks that a 2% day, 2.5%, 3% day are big moves. It's just crazy, but it's gonna change. You're gonna have times where not much is going on and times where a lot's going on. And right now, of course, with this one, not much is happening. Bitcoin Cash, this might be a bearish setup, bro. It looks bearish to me. As with price action, it had this down move on March the 28th, and it's resisting within this band in here. It's been just grinding its way lower for quite some time. But what do we know about the cryptos? They go down a lot slower than they go up. And we've seen these things so many times before. When it's ready to go, they can have spectacular gains. This had such at the 2nd, 3rd of December. This had such starting at the end of October into the middle of November. And that's what it's done for its gains. So at any time it's ready, this thing can jump from this around this 0.0 or the 954 handle and go to like 1,500, 2,000, double or 60% gain in a matter of a few days or 1 or 2. Whenever they're ready to do such. If, of course, it is. Most of the time, even if it's going to ultimately fail, the rally that is, it's still going to have them. Now, final thing I want to point out is I noticed on Bittrex, when I did a search today to see what other people were thinking about the layout, that I read on Twitter that they reinstated, I guess, new accounts, something they turned off a long time ago. And then so many people signed up today that I guess they had to temporarily stop people right now from making new accounts. So a few people managed to do such, and yeah, that's basically that for that point. But I think that's going to be very interesting now that you see the demand for such. Is this really a bubble in the crypto space with Bitcoin prices? I could just show that to end the video on one of the charts. But Bitcoin prices at around 7,000. Are we getting set to like just bubble this down and go back to these lower levels from before? Or is this just part, maybe the lower end, maybe the 65-75% through a large correction, the biggest one that it has had since the bull market started several years ago. Okay. Thank you for tuning in to this video. I'll be back next with the 4-minute morning for Crypto Day, the 11th day of April. Take care. Bye-bye.